I just did a shoot last week in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Where we were running like 3 or 4 cameras, and I was running 4 lavs into my camera. And we had cameras mounted on cars. We were just trying to do them. Like, boy, I do miss having an audio guy. That would be a nice thing right now.
Well, we're here at the Seattle International Film Festival to talk about your documentary Bar.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I saw it programmed. When the program came out, I was looking and I was like, is that about bars? Yeah, sign me up for that interview.
Right.
I haven't even seen the movie yet, but we're going to have an interview. So
that's great.
I have seen it a couple times. I'm a bartender, so it
right
very
on.
much appeals to me. Really, I just want to talk about alcohol.
Yeah, we can totally do that.
Well, yeah, and in that spirit, pun not intended.
That's a good one.
I want to start with an icebreaker question, which is, what is your favorite spirit and then your go-to cocktail?
Oh, wow. Right now, I think it's probably mezcal. Just like the rest of the world is really getting into mezcal. And I think making this film, one of the folks that runs the Bar 5-day program that our film looks at is one of the founders of Del Maguey, which is kind of the first mezcal to really get a foothold here in the U.S. So it's hard not to be a fan of it because this guy's name is Steve Olson, and he'll always carry around, some mezcal that's not really commercially available, so you can try it.
That's nice.
So I like mezcal, and the drink that goes along with it the most often for me is the Naked and Famous.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've not had that yet.
It's kind of it's a 4-part drink, very similar to The Last Word or the Paper Plane.
Yes.
That one is gin, one is whiskey, and then Naked and Famous is the same sort of equal part drink. So it's pretty easy to impress your friends with it if you have the ingredients. It's a hard drink to screw up. But,
yeah, very cool. Mezcal is really good. I like to consider it it's like what Scotch is to whiskey is to tequila, because I like the smokiness of it.
Yeah.
I haven't tried enough cocktails with it yet. That's a foray I need to get into, but I'm a whiskey guy, so I do like my bourbons and my single malts, and of course I venture into international whiskeys every now and then. So,
sure.
So. All right, Bar. Let's talk about
Bar.
Yes. Tell what is, for people who haven't heard of it yet or just finding it, what is Bar about?
Our film Bar is about this very rigorous course called the Bar 5-day. Mm-hmm. In the world of spirits, it's very similar to what the Master Sommelier is for wine. Mm-hmm. It's learning history. It's a lot more than just making drinks. It's learning how the distillation process works. And when I found out about this story, I had no idea that some sort of certification like this existed for bartenders and bar owners and people within that hospitality sector. When I found out that this program existed, I thought it would be a really interesting challenge to try to make the bulk of a feature-length documentary in a week during this course. So we reached out to them, and they'd been approached before by documentary producers, and they weren't really into the idea, but I think gradually they came around to say, okay, let's open the door, let's show what goes on here. And we had pretty strict guidelines that we couldn't over-direct it. We couldn't change the core function of the class and the way the instruction works, the way the testing works. And so then our biggest challenge was just how do we accomplish so much in 5 days' time, and how do we make it interesting? Because on the surface, it's really just like a conference. It's people sitting, learning about history. But then we knew that the week led up to a couple of very intense days of testing where everybody who goes through the program has to make either six drinks in 10 minutes in front of these world-renowned judges, if they're going for Bar Ready, which is the highest level of certification. So we knew it was going to lead to something like that, and figured the backbone of competition could be there, which is inherently, it's dramatic to have a ticking clock on something. I've done a lot of films, but this is the first time I've really had something where it was such a finite amount of time.
Yeah, absolutely. You're talking about competition. I mean, it's not necessarily a competition, but there is definitely competitive elements to it, and obviously exams in it. It was interesting because I was watching it. I don't know if you saw that reality show Drink Masters on Netflix. Yeah. What a fun show.
Yeah.
It really embodied like a lot of the artistry and the science and everything that goes into, what Bar 5 Day goes over. But I think the thing that I liked most about, and the parallel that I drew most between the two is cocktails are so fun to film.
they are pretty dang visual. Yeah, they're just, it's inherently interesting just to see, this combination, and it's got, a lot of the things that we look for when we're filming anything is, it's got a little noise to it, it's got some color to it, it's, vibrant, and at the end you have this sort of majestic thing. And I thought, Drink Masters came out, I believe, right when we were starting to talk to them about making this movie. And I had no idea that Kate Gerwin, who you glimpse in our film, she's one of the back of house people, and a graduate of the program, was going to be one of the main characters in Drink Masters. So by the time we get there and I meet her, I've now seen the show, and I had to admit I was a little starstruck. And I like to, that show is very much a shiny floor reality show. And I think it pairs well with our film because it's like, okay, you've seen what happens, the pretty part out front. Now here's the behind the scenes that gets people to that point. So I think it could be a one good 1-2 punch. Netflix, if you're listening.
It's just interesting that you're just very timely with the topics that you pick.
I try to. Yeah, it's interesting. Pick of the Litter that was here in Seattle in 2018, I believe. Yeah. We'd been making that film for like 3 years. From the birth of these dogs all the way through this process, and so you never really know what's going on out there in the world beyond your little microcosm of making documentaries. But sometimes those things are just in the zeitgeist. And I did a movie many years ago about a fairly obscure art band called The Residents. And they, as we're making it, so many other films about these lesser known but highly influential artists started to come out. And I don't know where that all comes from. I'd like to say it's calculated and, so I am so present and timely.
You're just very lucky, especially with Bob Iger, of course, coming across.
That was
right
such
when
a crazy
Disney Plus
one.
was being released. So
the story as we got it. So we made the feature film Pick of the Litter that was here, and we went all over the place with this movie. Before it was even IFC Films purchased it, but we did, 30 film festivals or something between the premiere when they acquired it and before it actually went into theaters. And so we're doing all of these festivals, and we noticed that it's picking up steam, and more people seem to be coming to these screenings. There's packed screenings everywhere. But you still don't really, I guess, think that this bigger, broader world is seeing it yet. You're just seeing it at festivals. So to get a call one day from, I believe it was our agents, and they said, hey, just got a call from Disney. Apparently Bob Iger's wife or girlfriend or something is a big dog fan and saw the trailer for the film because, again, it wasn't officially out yet.
Right.
And he just said, oh, dogs, I like dogs. And suddenly we're making this series of this film. It took, of course, a ton of legal wrangling and all that. But what a great experience to then be making this, the thing that we did really by ourselves in a feature. Now we have a bigger crew, we have a bigger budget, and we have a very hard deadline with Disney Plus to make this into a series. So I'm very proud of both, and they're their own unique things.
Yeah, and hopefully someone sees Bar and is like, oh yeah, I like Bar. Let's put that on a major platform.
Oh, I like drinks.
Yeah,
let's do. That's the hope for any of these for sure.
Well, in the film you feature, I think it's 5 subjects, right?
Yep, 5.
Who are from all over the country.
Yeah.
How did you find these subjects and choose these to be the subjects of this documentary?
Yeah, all of it is, whether it's 5 puppies in Pick of the Litter or 5 bartenders, it's a little bit of luck, a magic formula, I guess. With this one, we were fortunate because as everybody applies to go to the Bar 5 Day, and they do Zoom intros. And so we were able to take part in some of those, and
nice.
my production manager Stephanie and my co-producer Maxwell talked to about 40 people. I was finishing another movie, so I couldn't really be a part of this early process, but they interviewed 40 people, then they distilled it to maybe 10 or 15, that then I came in and we worked through together to bring it down to 5. We knew we wanted some diversity in the ranks. We wanted to be representative of the hospitality community, which is from probably 20 years old up to 60 years old. And we hit on this one guy, Michael, who by day is a radiologist, and then by night he wants to open a bar. And I'm like, well, that's interesting enough. And he's on the older end of the spectrum. Okay, so you just start trying to put the pieces together, and also asking people, this is going to be hard enough. Do you want a film crew following you around through it? And just about everybody said, yeah. Bartenders are, not afraid of a camera, and they wanted to be part of it. So it was a hard process to whittle it down. But then the pieces come together, and when you get there to actually film it, you hope you made a good call. Right. And I feel like we're very fortunate with this. It's not like the casting process for the Disney show was much more involved, where it had to go through a lot of people had thoughts. With this one, it was really just our small group, and said, okay, well, we like this for this reason, we like this for this reason.
I want to talk to you a little bit about you as a filmmaker. I'm so curious as to how you decide on what you want to dedicate years of your life to, making a documentary about.
I don't necessarily have an answer.
I want a documentary on how lucky you are with how everything has always just kind of worked out for you.
I'm glad it seems like that, because maybe it's the swan going across the lake.
Right, that's true.
There's a lot that goes into it, and you try to be somewhat strategic with the ideas that come to you, because frankly, ideas are never the problem. I was a journalist before I started making docs, and I have a healthy interest in a lot of different subjects. So I can get really interested quickly. In fact, on the light rail ride over here, I had a phone call, and I'm like, what a great idea. So I've learned over the years to slow down a bit and think about, okay, how do we make this? Can we raise the funds to make this? And is there a real audience for this right now? And honestly, it is a business, so we have to think about, is there somebody that would distribute this right now? And that's become increasingly hard to figure out, because there's not as many people that are buying documentaries. I know sometimes if you're outside this industry looking in, you see, Netflix has a billion things on it all the times, and then you have Paramount Plus and Max or HBO Max or whatever they're calling themselves this week. You have. It seems like there's a lot of opportunity, but it's really become increasingly challenging to get your independently made films on those platforms. So you have to think about all of those factors. And I've been fortunate over the years to have a couple of investors that have been with me for a while, and like taking this journey into filmmaking with me, and so they have been able to develop a small development fund that allows me to explore some of these things and at least see, okay, is there something really there? And but it is, it's an interesting. Every one of them is interesting to. See what takes hold, because you can go out, it starts with phone calls, then maybe you get a Zoom or two, and then maybe you go there to try to shoot a sizzle reel or something. And every step of it, or maybe you have to do some legal work in there to make sure you have the rights to tell the story. So a lot goes into the choices, and a lot of projects don't come together. But man, it's so great when something actually does. And in the case of Bar, I've learned over the years that good things often happen quick. And this went very quickly from, oh wow, this program exists. Oh, do you think they might let us in? And then they say yes, and then boom, we're shooting in a few months. That isn't always the case. I think my longest project was this one I did about Sean Penn's work in Haiti. And that started in 2010, right after the earthquake, and it came out sort of during the pandemic in 2020. It was a 10-year odyssey where, obviously I was out doing other things during that time, but so many points during that decade, I was even encouraged to just let it go, and I couldn't. And that's, I say this when I'm talking to younger filmmakers, aspiring filmmakers, like, you have to find a story that you just can't not tell, and find a couple of committed, crazy people with you that want to go make it, because otherwise, you're probably not going to see it through. It's really hard to get it all the way to a feature film.
That makes sense. Huh. Bar is interesting because the participants in bar have to pass 5 exams, right?
Yeah.
It's like 5 things that they have
5.
to pass at the end. I was curious if there was such thing as like a film 5-day that you participated in. You obviously can't do blind tasting on film, but
You challenge.
but if like you were participating in this and the exams were practical exam, directing, written exam, maybe history, icons, things like that, and film review exam, which of those do you think you would be best at, and which do you think you would that you wouldn't be best at?
Well, would I be reviewing my own work or other people's?
I imagine other people's, but that would be really interesting if you reviewed your own.
Yeah, that would be brutal. You'd need the other part of bar to get through that. Because really, and I think this is true for a lot of filmmakers that I've talked to, is you get to the end and nothing is ever quite the way you want it to be, so all you end up seeing are the flaws. And you hear this with like big actors and stuff that say, or directors that say they don't ever go back, like Francis Ford Coppola doesn't go back and watch The Godfather. Because all you see is like, oh man, that day I couldn't get this, and
this is actually really funny.
hard.
In my day job, I do marketing, and so I've recently had did a commercial, and it wasn't nearly as scripted. It was more documentarian in a way, and I was really happy with like me doing this for the first time and having the setup and everything, and I do the editing, and I get to the final product, and I'm like, it's better than the commercials we've had before, but that's not right. This isn't right. If I could go back, I'd film this, and so yeah. I think that there's maybe a documentary in that for editors and filmmakers and artists in general. But
I truly wonder if anybody gets to the end and is like, it's perfect. You're mostly like, well, I did the best I could. Hopefully people respond to it in some positive way. Yeah, but it's.
Well, I mean, you've been a journalist. I don't know if that was with film, if you had much to do with film, but like, critiquing other film, how do you feel about that?
I think it's good. I'm probably an annoying person to watch a movie with, or even a TV show, because I'm always looking for. I'm keyed into the music cues, so it's rare that I get to a movie where I can really just fall under the spell of it. And when you do find those, you're like, wow, that was a great movie.
This is such an interesting subject because I have this conversation with my friends all the time who aren't film critics or journalists or whatever.
Yeah.
We just, we go to the movies, we watch a movie, and they love it. And I'm like, oh yeah, but did you hear the soundtrack? Oh yeah, but did you see the color grade? Did you notice it go from widescreen to full screen? Like, I cannot believe how many people don't notice that.
They don't notice it. No, it's... for me, the worst thing is when you go out and you go with, say, a group of people to go see a movie, and you walk out, and the moment you walk out the door, it's like, well, where are we eating? Like, there's no conversation, there's no bit of it. To me, it's just like, well, it filled 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm mortified when, and I hope it doesn't happen often, where people walk out of something I've done and it's just like right back into their day.
No, you have to talk about it.
You want some bit of conversation, even if it's to say I really didn't like it and here's why. That's totally valid, because the point of a movie is just that you get to the end and you think for a minute, and you hopefully have some sort of thoughtful interaction with the person you're watching it with, or just in your own head about what that meant, or what the artists were trying to say.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even mind. There's sometimes I actually kind of look forward to disagreeing. It just there's so much conversation that can be had where I can impart insight that maybe I had that they didn't get, and I can get some of their perspective. I was talking with my brother recently about the movie Sinners, and he didn't like it, and I was just like, well, that's wrong. Now we have to talk about it.
And I'm ashamed to say I haven't seen it yet because Ryan. I'm from the Bay Area. Ryan Coogler is a Bay Area guy.
Oh, very cool.
And so I wanted to go see it at the big theater in Oakland, the Grand Lake Theater in 70 millimeter.
Yeah.
And then, so I didn't go when everybody just went to the multiplex. So I'm holding out for that, but then I don't actually have time to go see it.
It's tough. They really need to re-release that one and get more prints. I need more film copies of that because like we didn't get it around here.
Oh, really?
Film. We got 70 millimeter, but not film. And fingers crossed it re-releases closer to.
I hope they do.
So
and I love that he's out there making these big movies and. What an incredible rise as a filmmaker from Fruitvale Station to Wakanda Forever, and now, it's an amazing trajectory.
Wild. Well, my final question is really just about being here at the Seattle Film Festival again. Like, how do you feel about bringing this movie here to the Seattle area?
It's one of the. This is a film festival that people all over the country, all over the world talk about. It matters to have your movie here. So I'm thrilled that Bar is going to play here tonight and tomorrow. I'm hoping to catch some other movies because it's a great lineup. And I feel like Seattle's a cocktail town, right?
It is, yes.
Like, so how could Bar not be here? But I hope that people can come out and see it. I know it's a tough night. If you work in the hospitality industry, Saturday night is a tough time, and probably Sunday at 11 a.m. is going to be tricky as well. But I know that there is an online component too, so hopefully people can catch it. And for me, making this film, what I learned about the hospitality industry, I didn't know much more than sitting on this side of the bar and ordering a drink. But getting to know the people that really care about good service and making a great experience for people, it's changed my perception when I go into these places. Yeah. So I hope that when audiences do see it, they feel a little bit of that, and it's a lot harder to be angry or grumpy with people if you understand a little bit more about what drives them. So that's my biggest hope for the film.
Well, congratulations on the film, getting it to the finish line and getting it here to Seattle.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Really happy that it's here and I've had a chance to see it, and I do look forward to more people seeing it and talking about it. Cool. Thanks.
Yeah.